Hello, my name is Hwansan Sunim, and this is Sun Meditation in English. The purpose of this program is to share the Sun, or Korean Zen Buddhist teachings of my teacher, Sun Master Songdam, with a modern international audience. Sun Master Songdam is the most respected meditation master in Korea. Now, for you viewers at home watching this program for the first time, if you want to follow along, this is a participatory guided meditation program. You will need to prepare a meditation mat. If you don't own a meditation mat, then what you can do is take a large blanket, fold it into a square, and be sitting on that and listen to instruction in the course of the program. Now, for those of you who, for whatever reason, are not comfortable sitting on a mat on the floor, you can also sit on a chair. Now, what you're going to need is a very rigid, stable chair with a firm, level seat. So you don't want to be sitting on something spongy like a sofa. You definitely don't want to be sitting on a chair with wheels attached to the bottom. And you don't want to be sitting on a chair that's too resilient or springy. Okay? Now, today's topic for contemplation and meditation is the situation that many people find themselves in at one point or another, which is being at a workplace which they really can't stand, but also being unable to leave. In my conversations with my Korean and international friends, I hear about this often, this idea that I hate my job, but there's no way for me to leave. Now, there are a lot of different reasons why a workplace might be intolerable. For example, I may not be getting along with the people around me. I may even feel mistreated by them. Or someone in a position of authority might be making me very miserable. Okay? On the other hand, maybe I am getting along, okay with the people around me, but the job itself doesn't suit me. I find the nature of the work kind of mindless and mind-numbing, and I feel like it doesn't bring out the best in me. And this can be a terrible feeling. I feel like I have something to give, that I'm worth more than the job asks of me, and I feel like I could shine, but there's never an opportunity to do so. That's a hard way to have to perform a job. Another factor that could be affecting our experience of the workplace is the culture of the organization. The culture of the organization might be toxic. For example, it might be too competitive. Maybe they're fostering an atmosphere of competitiveness to bring out the best in the workers, but somehow that doesn't suit me. Or maybe the culture of the organization is too political. There's just too much scheming and maneuvering, and people are wasting a lot of energy on that kind of thing. Or even worse than that, the culture of the organization can be corrupt and immoral. For example, money might be being used and distributed in unethical and even illegal ways. And then there may be things going on like married workers in positions of authority approaching young female or male workers in inappropriate ways. And it's not an easy thing to have to watch these things and live in an atmosphere filled with these kind of things. And any one of these factors, not getting along with those around me, or not being able to find any passion in my work, or being at odds with the atmosphere of the company or the organization, any one of these things is hard to handle. But what I'm hearing from my friends is that most of the time they come in combination. When we really find our workplace intolerable, you usually have a combination of these factors. Now, we may think that the obvious solution would be either to change your situation there or simply leave the company. But for the purposes of today's contemplation, we're assuming that you can't do those things. We can't change our situation. Maybe we don't have the power or the resources or the motivation, and we can't leave either. We feel that we can't leave. Maybe I feel like I can't go out and get another job with comparable benefits in today's ultra-competitive job market. Or maybe I feel like I'm just not ready for such a big jump. Or maybe I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. Or maybe I feel bound by duty and conscience to stay. Whatever the reason, the end result is that I feel trapped. I feel imprisoned. And this is a very serious problem, because when you feel like that, you feel like you're being profoundly misused, often mistreated, and unrecognized. And if you live in a situation like that for too long, you will begin to experience intensely negative mind states. You will feel rage, anxiety, revulsion, alienation, sorrow. And if you're suffering these kind of mind states for too long, then not only will it affect your quality of life and make you very unhappy, it will begin to affect your physical and mental health. Literally, working in an intolerable workplace can give rise to physical disorders. So this is a very difficult problem. And the question we want to ask is, what, if anything, can Sun Buddhism do for us to help cope with a situation like that? So again, let us enter guided meditation and think about what Sun Buddhism has to offer for a situation like this. So, Sun meditation begins with correct posture. I'm going to explain the posture on the meditation mat first, and then today I will show how to sit in meditation on a chair. So, when you're sitting on a meditation mat, you want to have one foot, one heel tucked in, and the other foot on the opposite lap. If this position is too much for you, you can take your foot and place it on your calf. And if you're not flexible for this either, then you can just put your foot on the floor in front of you. One way or the other, you want your feet like that. Straighten your back. Okay, take your right hand, the edge of your right palm, place it against your lower belly. Then your left hand on top of that. And then your two thumb tips meet to create a nice, elegant rainbow arc with your two thumbs. Okay. You want to tuck in your chin slightly and take the tip of your tongue, place it against the roof of your mouth right behind the upper row of your teeth. Press against it lightly. Okay? And you want your eyes open as usual, looking straight ahead, which will mean since you have your chin tucked in, you'll probably be looking at the floor about 3 meters or 10 feet in front of you. So this is the traditional seated meditation posture for sitting on a meditation mat. But now for those of you at home who are using a chair, I'll now show you how to sit in meditation on a chair. Now you want to be sitting on the chair about in the center of the chair without your back against the back of the chair. Okay, so you're going to be sitting freely on the seat with your spine upright. You want your feet, both of your feet flat on the ground. Why don't we all try this? Okay, so you want your feet on the ground. Like this. Your knees should be at about right angles. So you should feel very stable and comfortable. Everything else from here on in is the same. Take your right hand, place it here. Take your left hand on top. Let your thumb tips meet. And tuck in your chin slightly. Now when you do that, you'll create the same line from the crown of your head to your tailbone that you have when you're sitting on a meditation mat. Everything from here up is the same. It's only your legs that are stretched out into a more comfortable position. So we're like this now, and we'll try to meditate in this position today. Okay. Now we can pay some more attention to your chin. Now what you'll find is if you adjust it very carefully and slightly, just play with the adjustment, you'll find at a certain point that your chin seems to just slide in like there's a magnetic slot. It just kind of clicks into place. And what you'll feel is that your spine straightens up naturally and your body becomes very light. And you may even feel a surge of energy through your body. So every element of this posture is important. It makes its own important contribution. The position of the hands, the tongue placed against the roof of the mouth, the gaze, all of it is important. So for us beginning meditators, we want to be very meticulous. We want to really try to work hard to get this posture just right. And if we get it just right, hitting all the details, then we will receive the full benefits of meditation. So here we are meditating in a chair. Everything else from here on in is the same. We now enter breathing. So we'll begin with preparation breathing. In preparation breathing, we inhale through the nose and completely fill our chest. And then we hold. And then we exhale completely through our mouth. And we're going to do that 3 times. Today we'll do everything in this seated position. So we're going to do that 3 times. So everyone together, inhale. Hold. Now exhale. As you exhale, let all the tension out of your body. Just let your body relax while maintaining this posture very lightly. One more time, inhale. Hold. Exhale. And after preparation breathing, we now engage the main form of breathing in meditation, abdominal breathing. In abdominal breathing, also called belly breathing, what we'll be doing is we'll be breathing as if the air is going down into our gut. And we'll also be breathing only through the nose. What that means is we inhale through the nose, very slowly and naturally, and as we inhale, we push our lower belly out, as if the air is going all the way down into our lower abdomen and filling it like a balloon. So we fill our belly with air, and when it feels about 80% full, we hold for 3 seconds. And then we exhale through our nose, and as we exhale, we slowly draw in our lower belly toward the spine. Okay? The count for the breath cycle is 2 to 3 seconds on the inhalation, 2 to 3 seconds pause, and then 3 to 4 seconds on the exhalation. So the exhalation is the longest part of the breathing cycle. So why don't we try that together? Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Pause. And exhale. So the first element of meditation is posture. The second element is breathing. And now we arrive at the third and final element, which is thought. What do we think about in sun meditation? And the distinctive feature of sun meditation is the object of thought, which is called the hwadu. Hwadu is basically a question or a problem that you pose to yourself. We're going to be asking ourselves a question. And the question is, in English, what is this? What is this that directs my body? When I think a thought, what is this that generates the thought? When I feel sadness, what is it that feels that sadness? When I feel anger, what's generating that anger? When I see images in my mind, when I visualize my home or members of my family, what's looking at that image? When someone calls my name and I turn almost instinctively, what inside me responded to the call of my name? So we ask ourselves, what is this? But we're going to do it in the traditional Sun Buddhist way using Korean. So what is this in Korean is I mo go. I spelled Y-I means this. What, M-W-O-T means what, and go, G-O means is. So I mo go. This is the traditional way, and the sound and the word order is important. That's why we're using Korean instead of English. It may seem a little bit unfamiliar at first, but if you keep practicing and practicing, knowing the meaning of the elements of the phrase, then you'll begin to feel its meaning. I myself also learned this hwadu before I was able to speak Korean. So the way we do I mo go, again, which means what is this, is we harmonize it with our breathing. So again, we engage abdominal breathing. We breathe in, hold, and then on the exhalation, within our minds, we ask ourselves, I mo go. And we take the last syllable and stretch it out all the way to the end of our exhalation. When we do this, we're not asking I mo go up here in our heads. We want to feel as if The imoko is one with our out-breath, and it's coming up out of our lower belly. The significance of the lower belly is that it's the literal physical center of gravity of our bodies, but it's also considered the center of energy in our bodies, called in Chinese dantian and in Korean danjeon. So we want to feel as if our breath and the hwadu are one, coming up out of our lower belly. So why don't we try this together out loud? Okay, so inhale, pause, and then all together, exhale, imoko. Now the important thing here is that you're not mindlessly repeating 3 syllables, imoko, over and over and over again. It's not like a mantra or a formula. The point here is to ask ourselves this question with the utmost sincerity, urgency, and honesty. We want to make it a real problem. It is a real problem of living, but we want to accept it into our lives and into our hearts and into our minds as the question, the problem of my life. So we have to open our hearts to it. We have to engage it with single-minded concentration. And when we do that, we create a state of mind which Sun Buddhists call doubt. Doubt is not here skepticism. You're not wondering whether there are things like the enlightenment and the Buddha and, the survival of consciousness after death. It's not speculation. What you're doing is simply creating and maintaining the state of intense questioning. You're questioning, but you can't get the answer. And this state of questioning, but being unable to get an answer, trying to see, but being unable to see, trying to know, but being unable to know, Sun Buddhists describe that state as being blocked. We are blocked. It's a state of internal pressure. And so it's like you're blowing up a balloon. You want to just keep asking this question over and over and over again, and that state of questioning grows and grows and grows inside of you. You'll literally feel it as a presence in your body because we're combining it with the breathing. Okay, so once again, why don't we try it again out loud? So inhale, hold, and then together, imoko. Now what I'll ask you to do is, as I continue to provide instruction through the course of this program, I will ask all of you studio audience members here and our viewers at home to continue to engage this breathing and do imoko in your mind as you listen to this program. So we'll be meditating together for the course of this program. So once again, re-engage our breathing, re-enter meditation, and I'll continue to share the teachings of Sun Master Songdam with you. Now, one thing that beginning meditators often mistake is that there's a tendency to believe that meditation, Sun meditation, is sitting. Now, that's not entirely untrue. This seated position on the meditation mat is considered the basic or the standard position, posture of meditation. And it's also considered the most efficient and effective. But if you really want to be precise, Sun meditation practice, true meditation practice, means doing this hwadu, imoko, asking yourself, what is this, in the midst of all the activities of the day, in the midst of your daily life. So literally, if you want to learn how to truly meditate, you'll want to be asking yourself imoko all the way through the day while you're doing the things that you have to do to live your life. Okay, so as I'll quote Sun Master Songdam from his Dharma speech. He says, do imoko while you're riding the bus. Do imoko while you're walking down the street. Do imoko while you're standing in line. Do imoko when you're walking, standing, sitting, or lying. Do imoko when you're talking, not talking, staying still, or moving. Do imoko in all places at all times. This is true Sun meditation practice. Now, to be a little bit more concrete, what that literally means is that during all the activities of the day, you'll want to put some of your attention into your lower belly, into your dantian. And you want to be aware of that part of your body and feel as if your hwadu is in there while you're doing everything else. So you're dividing your attention between between whatever you happen to be doing and this inner awareness of your body. Now, you may think, I'm already multitasking throughout the day. I'm already really busy juggling balls all day long. Is this even possible to divide my attention between my breath and this hwadu and whatever it is I have to do? This doesn't sound really possible. And in reply to that, Sun Master Songdam always teaches, like everything else, it takes practice. Meditation is also a process of skill acquisition. And he compares it to the process of learning how to drive a car. Now, for beginning drivers, driving a car is actually a very, very complex task. You have to pay attention to the rear view mirror, the side view mirror, the steering wheel, the dashboard, the accelerator, the brake, the traffic in front of you, the traffic on the right side, traffic on the left side, traffic behind you. There are really a lot of things that you have to pay attention to when you're driving. So for beginning drivers, they often find that they can't do anything else but drive when they're in the car. They can't turn on music, they can't talk to the person next to them. But even something as complicated as driving, if you practice it long enough, later you see people talking on the phone while driving, talking to the person next to them while driving, listening to music while driving, planning out the day in their mind while driving. So it's possible for our minds to pick up very complicated behaviors and make them automatic. And that's what we're going to be trying to do with this meditation. At the beginning, of course, it's difficult. What beginning meditators find is either that they're meditating, they stop doing whatever it is that what they were doing, or they continue on with their task and forget to meditate inside. That's a process of trial and error that we need to go through. And this is our first step now into living as meditators, living life as meditators. And for this first step, therefore, I would like to teach you another position that we can meditate in, which is a standing position. So this actually is the first posture that you learn when you enter a monastery to become a Sunim. And this is a posture that we learn as novices, which are called hengjas in Korea. So you put both of your feet together like this, stand straight. All right, take your hands like this. Right hand grabs the left hand. Put it right over your lower belly. Tuck in your chin. Okay, so once again, when we're standing like this, the line from the crown of the head to the tailbone is exactly the same as when we're meditating on a mat. So that's good. And okay, good. So like this. Now, the thing now from a monastic point of view, this is a posture of deference and humility, which is the first thing that we novices have to learn. But the important feature here is, as I said, the line of the spine is the same as in seated meditation posture, which means it's easier to do the abdominal breathing and it's easier to go into meditation from a standing position. The other feature is our hands are on our lower belly. This contact brings our attention down there. It's easier to focus on this part of our body because our hands are there. So from this position, it's very easy to meditate. And we can try that together now. Okay, so from this position, the two of you, so from this position, we inhale, hold, and then exhale. Inhale, hold, and then exhale. Now this is a preliminary posture. Now obviously in daily life you can't stand like this wherever you happen to be. But as you get used to it, you can just bring your feet apart a little bit like this. So you can separate your feet about shoulder length. When you're standing like this, just bend your knees very slightly and then put your butt in. Okay, let's see here. So like this, great. Okay. Okay, keep your chin in. And now you're standing in a relatively natural posture and still being able to meditate. From here, once you get used to breathing like this, you just let go, and now you're in standing meditation position and no one really even knows. The important thing is just not to lean this way or that way. As long as you still stay straight, you're basically meditating. Okay, thank you. You can Return to your seats. So that's meditating standing up. All right, so now we've learned a couple of things. We've learned how to meditate seated in a chair, and we've learned how to meditate standing up. The other thing that we can learn is how to meditate while walking, which is something that Korean Buddhist Sunims also do. Now, I know that walking meditation is very popular these days, but the way Sun Buddhist meditators do it is very different from what, as far as I know, is popular these days. Currently, the walking meditation that's most well known, you're paying attention to the process of walking, the actual mechanics of placing your feet. But that's not what we do in Sun meditation. In a traditional meditation hall, sessions of sitting are alternated with sessions of walking, with brief sessions of walking. And when the monks are walking, they're usually circling the meditation room. And they're usually walking very briskly. And the idea is to wake ourselves up, reinvigorate ourselves, so that we can be ready for the next session of seated meditation. But it's not a rest break. You're expected to be meditating while circling the room. So beginning meditators will hold their hands like this to keep their attention on their lower belly and walk in this position. Once you get used to it, then you can let go of your hands and walk very naturally. So this studio is too small for us to practice walking meditation together. But if you can just remember that all you need to do is stand straight, tuck in your chin. The chin is always important to create that line of your spine, and initially hold your hands over your lower belly and practice walking. And you can go out into a park or just find a large space and just practice walking slowly at first. And as you get more used to it, you can change your tempo, your speed, and you can finally drop your hands and walk the way you normally do, and you'll be able to meditate while walking. Okay? So we've learned 3 new ways to meditate: seated in a chair, standing, and while walking. So let's bear this in mind, because this is going to become important later. For now, why don't we take a break, and then when we come back, we'll return to today's topic of how to cope with a workplace that you find intolerable, but that you're not able to leave. Okay? Okay, we're back again. And once again, we'll consider the question, what can I do when I find myself working in a place that I find intolerable? And I think by now the answer to that question will be obvious. From the Sun Buddhist standpoint, the answer is to bring meditation into your workplace, to meditate while you're there. And we've already learned how. We know how to meditate in a chair. We now know how to meditate standing up, and we now know how to meditate walking. Sitting, standing, and walking are the 3 basic physical modes of the body in the modern age workplace. So for example, to give concrete examples now, because it may seem a little bit weird, this idea of meditating in your office or your company or wherever you happen to work. So just for an example, let's say that you're sitting at your desk or in a chair at a meeting, and someone says something or something happens that upsets you. What you can do right then and there is just very subtly and slightly shift your posture so that you're in the seated meditation posture. And work with your chin just very slightly to get that line in your spine. Now, you don't have to hold your hands like this. You can just place them near your lower belly to bring your awareness down into your abdomen. And then you can just very lightly and naturally engage the abdominal breathing, and in your mind, say imoko, and be meditating to get through this wave of unpleasant emotion or unpleasant thoughts that you may be having. Another example, you may be sitting in front of your computer and you're just tired of your job. You feel overwhelmed and you just don't want to do anything, and the stuff on your screen doesn't make any sense to you anymore. Now, instead of getting up to get a cup of coffee or going into the internet, what you can do is once again take that seated chair position. Even if your chair in an office has wheels attached to it. Now, I did say that we shouldn't use chairs with wheels, but in your office, you may have no choice. Just put your feet firmly on the floor so the chair doesn't slide. And then from there, straighten your back. Again, tuck in your chin to get that line of meditation. And then just put your hands lightly in your lap and start the breathing and the meditation. You don't have to meditate for that long. Even just taking a single meditative breath can change your perspective. It can relax your body and loosen your mind and let your emotions subside. It's a big difference between that and just staying in a situation of being very upset. You might be giving a presentation in front of a bunch of coworkers, and maybe they don't look very sympathetic or attentive, and you kind of feel like, well, I don't want to give this presentation anymore. Instead of falling into your emotion, which can be really bad during a presentation because then you'll forget what you're going to say, just subtly change the position of your body the way we learned before. Stand straight up and down. It's okay to put your hands here for a moment. Tuck in your chin, act like you're thinking about something important, give a nice meaningful pause, take a breath, calm down, then proceed. You'll find that your mind clears when you take this breath, when you give yourself a moment to disengage from negative emotions and thoughts. And then of course, and you can do this form of meditation standing in an elevator. It's surprising how many times in an office building where you'll be standing in an elevator with someone that you don't want to be in there with. Instead of reacting to them emotionally and clenching your body, just smile lightly and stand in this posture and meditate for the duration of the elevator ride. And when you get out of the elevator, you'll feel much better. The walking meditation can be used as you walk through your workplace. You can hide your meditation unobtrusively into your daily work life. And once you start to do this, you can start to become creative. Can I meditate holding a cup of coffee? Can I meditate holding like a clipboard or sitting at my computer? What you're going to try to do is interweave your meditation with the natural activities of your work life. And this is the single most important part of Sun Master Songdam's teaching, which is meditation is not something that you do by leaving your daily life. You don't have to go into the mountains and become a monk to learn how to meditate. And even if you did do that, we have to do the same things you do. We have to eat, wash our clothes, take our showers. There's all sorts of things that we have to do anyway. You haven't left anything behind at all. Daily life is not something that you jump over to get to meditation and enlightenment. Daily life is the path that you take to enlightenment. And when you do this, you have two choices in your workplace when you get upset. You can wallow in that emotion, let it get more and more intense and damage your health, or you can take this meditation, use that as an opportunity to exercise your meditation skills, master your thoughts and emotions, and what you'll find is these adverse working conditions are now helping you to build a new skill set of mastering your own body and mind. This will lead to personal growth, ultimately the transformation of consciousness, and if you persist, the life that you live now will lead you to enlightenment. This, as I understand it, is what Sun Master Songdam teaches. It's in the midst of ordinary life that we practice our spiritual meditation, not by leaving it. Now, you may hear this and think, all right, that makes sense. But I have to tell you, there is no place in the world that's more unspiritual than my workplace. There's just no way I can meditate in a place like that. The atmosphere, the people, the stuff I have to do, it doesn't work. And, that makes perfect sense to me. But in response to that, I'd like to share with you a story from actually the beginning of my life as a Sunim. Now, there's something that you have to understand about Sunims, about young monks. When we start out, most of us are kind of dreamy, romantic young men. I mean, that's the kind of person who will leave their life to go chase after enlightenment. So we come into the monastery thinking that we'll chop wood and draw water from a well and wash our clothes on the riverbank and gather firewood from the forest. And the ones of us who go to my temple go there because they want to, learn under the great Sun Master Songdam. And my temple, Yonghwasa in Incheon, is in the middle of a small city. So it's nothing like what we imagine. And when I was there, when I first began there, the air was so polluted. It was just so polluted. It felt like your nostrils were being clogged. It felt like you had a film of dust on your body at all times. So the first thing that we learned there is that this isn't going to be what we expected. And then what happens after that is we finish our novice period, and back in those days, my temple didn't have any employees. The Sunims did all the work themselves. So as soon as we finish our novice period, we have to go and work in the office. This, for the Sunims, is an incredible letdown. This is the life that we were trying to leave behind. And suddenly we're working in an office again, filing, working with ledgers, and just doing all these things that we were trying to get out of. And we had all these lay people coming in, so we're actually service representatives for our monastery. So we're right back in the middle of it again. And the area around, it's a little bit quieter now, but the area around my monastery is very noisy and congested. It's really just not what you think of as a meditation hall. Now, I actually did not have to perform office duty because I couldn't speak the language at the time. But I also had my own version of job hell, because as soon as I finished my novice period, I was placed into the audio-visual recording department and was asked to help audio tape and videotape, that's the technology of those days, the Dharma speeches of Sun Master Songdam. Now, before I was a Sunim, I was a very bookish person. I liked things like literature and the arts. And I had no interest in machines. A lot of guys like computers and gadgets and cars, I had no interest in those things. And suddenly I was asked to operate this very complex audio and visual equipment. And I tried as hard as I could to get interested, because we were all there for Sun Master Songdam. We all knew his teachings. Make your daily work your meditation. And it was the most boring thing. And I just could not get myself engaged. And finally, I had to meditate to just tolerate it, to deal with it. And so I learned how to meditate. I learned how to meditate while playing with the machines, working them. I learned how to meditate while cleaning the machines. I learned how to meditate while packing cassette tapes to be mailed off, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was in that job for 5 years. Now, this is something that all of the Sunims at my temple had to go through in those days. So what happened for us is we were placed into such an unpleasant job situation that it forced us to learn how to meditate. And we all came out of that learning how to meditate in daily life. And this is something that I'm rather proud of with my Dharma brothers under Sun Master Songdam. Every single one of us knows how to meditate wherever they are. We don't have to be in a meditation hall to meditate. This gives us a sense of freedom. Wherever we are, we can go right into imoko and the breathing. And this is what you also can learn if you're trapped in a workplace that is making you really unhappy. You have only two choices. Either let those negative emotions and thoughts ruin the quality of your life and your health in the process, or use it as an opportunity for spiritual practice and elevate yourself. Sun Master Songdam himself actually meditated under much, much more adverse conditions than any of us disciples. He actually was conducting his practice in a time of war. The entire social order of Korea had broken down, and the world had become very dangerous. So he was learning how to meditate to master extreme fear, cold, hunger, chaos, danger. And this actually made him a much more powerful meditator, and ultimately he overcame his obstacles, gained enlightenment, and went on to make modern Korean Buddhist history. Recently, I asked him, where's the best environment for meditating? And his answer was prison. So what I think is, if you're in a very pleasant environment, surrounded by people who love and respect you, the worst parts of yourself, the darkest demons and shadows in our hearts, just stay where they are. because we're satisfied with the things around us. But if we're in a place where we really don't like the people and we really don't like what we're doing and just, the whole environment, then everything bad in us rises to the surface. And it's only when it rises to the surface that we can identify it and we have a chance to use meditation to eradicate it. So Sun Master Songdam always says it's uncomfortable, very painful places and circumstances that will make us into great meditators. So when we understand this, then we can use our workplace to our advantage. Because if we're in a situation where we're trapped, and that's one last thing that I would like to say, I am not saying that you should stay in a horrible workplace. Absolutely, if you can get out of there, get out. Absolutely, if you can change your situation, change your situation. But in situations where you're just trapped, then don't just be stuck there. Use the meditation. If you know how to meditate, you have a choice. You can turn it into spiritual practice. And the practical advantage of that is one day an opportunity to leave will come. And if you use meditation, when that moment comes, you will be vigilant, centered, clear-headed, and focused. You will be able to seize that opportunity and get on with your life. Okay? So I think that's all the time we have today. So once again, we will close this episode with meditation. So now we'll meditate in the traditional seated posture. And in advance, I will thank all of the members of our studio audience for attending. I thank all of you viewers at home for following along. And I hope that we can all get together again in our next episode next week. Okay, thank you very much. May we all attain the Buddha. Okay, I will strike the chukpi 3 times and we will enter into meditation.